Welcome back to Bourbon Over Baseball with your hosts Bob, Coast, Jeff, and Matt. Say hello, everybody.
What up?
Hello.
We got another one brought to you by a request from the YouTube. So again, if you guys are there, you can subscribe and let us know what you guys' thoughts are on whether teams to do. And, again, we love hearing from you guys and, our quote-unquote subscribers. I don't know, our loyal fans. I don't know if anyone's loyal, but I love you for listening, and thanks again. Next up, we have the...
Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so good.
Before I get sued for playing this song too long.
Yeah, I think it already happened. There's lawyers at my front door. What?
Yeah, I know. I was like, the theme song for the Red Sox is "Sweet Caroline," basically.
Right.
And this song takes so long to play. But I've been to Fenway Park, and it was fun to do while I was there. But for all you people that voted for Fenway Park, I do not like your stadium. It is too fucking crammed. It's old.
Yeah, so I would say over the past, not over the past, really for the past years, I've been just had this affection towards old stadiums, like in just old stadium history, and I'd say over the past few weeks during the COVID time, I've started following a lot of Twitters that post pictures of old baseball stadiums, and there's one in particular called MLB Cathedrals.
Love
that's
them.
It's incredible. It's an incredible follow if you like that stuff. And so I've always I know I'm kind of going on a rant here, or a tangent, but I've always
This
loved.
is why we can't finish under 30 minutes. Jeff.
I know. I was the one coming. I was the one coming into this podcast saying, "Let's blow through this," and now I'm telling a story. But basically, going to Fenway, and I haven't been to every stadium in the MLB, but going to Fenway was no doubt just a transport back in time to
for sure.
different time. It was a completely surreal and just truly unreal experience that I don't think I'll ever be able to equate with any other stadium.
Yeah, it was really cool to walk up to the stadium, to get inside, see the Green Monster, to walk underneath in the what do you call it? The concession stand area where half it's underneath the grandstands, and it's really cramped. But which was cool for nostalgia. But for physically watching the game, it was so miserable. I was literally crammed into the seat, sweating it was terrible. And we talked about last podcast, PNC, where I felt like I could do whatever fuck I wanted. Now, again, I know you're Fenway Park. People are like, we can't get rid of this stadium because it's the best ever and it's super nostalgia. But maybe an upgrade where you keep the Green Monster, something like that would be really cool.
No, keep it how it is in every way. Cause
you're one of those people that voted for Fenway Park and oh my god, it's awful.
I'm just saying, I wish I never got to go to the old Indian Stadium,
Municipal Park.
Was Municipal Stadium, and I never got to go there, and I actually have one of the seats for Municipal Stadium sitting about 10 feet from me right now. And
wow.
I feel like me not being able to go to that, going to Fenway was a version of that. Yeah. And that's I don't care how new your stadiums are, what it has, what amenities. I've worked at an arena that even went through a transformation and got renovations, and there's still that character that you
Well,
lose.
We'll see what you say when you go to PNC Park with me.
That's true. We'll see.
So without further ado, then let's dive into the Red Sox, which are a great team. Jeff, can you give me the points on this? I know they were a pretty monster house, and they have some pretty epic foils, especially one in particular that we'll talk about that basically can just win you a game. And they have a crazy random pennant run foil that will just also win you the game.
One second, I'm opening. I already closed it. Weird. I think they're second to least. I'm joking. They're not.
I was no way.
I've messed this up so much now that I just expect whatever I'm saying is wrong, even though I've double checked this. So they are they're high, but they're not as high as the Pirates.
No, they have a bunch of average. The guy posted a bunch of utility guys basically, and they really do until they get Manny, over there and whatnot. They really have an average team with a couple of monsters. Their pitching is pretty big, but that's about it.
They're 43-40.
Okay, so just around the Pirates.
And they're the same as the Phillies.
Okay.
It's just a reference. And I'm just doing the average now. The average is 41-60. So they are they're over it. But
Okay.
but yeah, no, I guess I that's crazy to me that the Pirates have a higher point value team.
And this
at
is
least
before the Red Sox went on their tear of winning it like every year.
Yep.
Yeah, and their pitching is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like
That's what's really
Especially
holding
when,
the points up.
like their pennant run. Like if it really was like a trade deadline push for the pennant, like these are some acquisitions. Like
Oh yeah,
your GM just won you guys something.
Right.
especially for if they signed Carl Everett for the price that his salary is.
Oh my gosh.
All right, let's jump into it then. We have Rod Beck, who I know gets picked up all the time because for 80 points, we talked last podcast about the Pirates closer being 90. And for 10 less points, I could have a 3-control Rod Beck.
Ugh.
I think I would take the Pirates closer.
Yeah, same, dude. I think for 0, like I don't know, maybe not for 0, but
Mathematically, like your Beck's still better. Gonna get the.
It's just
the
rough
control.
with the 2 doubles and no walks. So
Yeah.
literally 25, no, less than 20% of the time, you're getting people moving around the bases, which sucks.
And
Right,
he had a rough year in '99.
Look
Yeah,
at that,
it-
like fucking Fu Manchu.
yeah, dude, he looks kind of badass, but also I don't know, like if I would be that intimidated by this guy.
I don't know, he kind of reminds me of the guy from like Major League. Like if he was snarling, I'd be like, "Fuck."
Hey, look at his hair in the back. That someone had to work on cutting that out. So good for them. So
Yeah, very good job. Next up, we got Damon Buford. So this was we talked about that 6 last podcast. I'd rather have this 6, because he's an A-speed OF1 for 150, but he's got a little bit of pop. You know, it's
Yeah,
not
for
too
one-
bad. I don't want
No, I don't-
him, but I'm just saying.
no, I don't hate him.
He's yours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can. It's Bob. You can have the card.
No,
So-
yeah. I think he's looking. The ball is in the picture. I'm pretty sure the ball is
Yeah.
on his right
Oh,
or
yeah.
his left leg, and he's
watching it
us
go by.
Yeah, he's watching it go
Yeah,
by.
he's already he can't even check swing. to
He
look like
just
he
rolled
might
a
have
2 on his own chart.
Oh yeah, it's funny because it looks like they cut his body out, and they're like, the ball looks like the jersey. Fuck it.
It's great. There are some cards where I believe the ball does show up,
Yeah.
and like so it's just kind of a it's just I don't know. It's kind of wild whenever you see those
Well,
ones
and
actually
that's
happen.
like if I'm doing a cutout for a card and the ball is in the picture, I leave the ball.
Oh, for
That
sure.
Definitely.
Add something to it.
For sure.
Or the ball was in the picture, they took it out and made this guy look like shit. You know, like he, I don't know.
He's also got the All-Star 99 patch on his shoulder.
Yep, and Brad Beck had that too.
Yeah.
Looking back,
Well,
Wow,
it was in Boston in '99, so it's a pretty
makes
cool.
sense.
So it says like Boston on top, and it's got the diamond below. It's pretty cool patch actually. Now that I'm looking at it, I kind of wish I have a jersey with this on it because the only Boston Red Sox jersey I have is Adrian Gonzalez, who played for like the littlest bit in Boston.
it's on pretty much that patch is on every one of these cards, and now I'm
Yeah.
never gonna not see that, which is cool to know though.
Yeah, it's very cool. Next up, we got Real Comer. This card gets drafted all the time because
Card's badass.
for 150 now, you get a 6. So we were talking about the 120s and 130s last podcast for a Pirates player that was a 3. Would you rather have a 6 for 20 more points, 30 more points?
Yes.
Jeez Louise, I have no idea how they rated these guys, but
Yeah.
he gets picked up a lot because anybody in this range just kills it. You'd want like a John Johnstone for like the 16, or maybe a guy with no doubles, but after those guys go in the drafts, because they always go early, this is the next best guy you want.
For sure. Yep.
So, how was his season, Matt?
He was pretty good. He had a 3.69 ERA and a 1.2 WHIP. Like I don't know if that generates.
No,
I
I
can't
don't-
do that math in my head.
Not a
very well.
6, but it's
Right.
not bad.
Like yeah, he wasn't terrible. He wasn't Rod Beck with like a 5 ERA,
Yeah.
but
I don't know if he would. I don't think he's a 6, but
yeah, like that's kind of. But like we find out every time, like we have no idea why.
yeah. I mean, what's cool about this card, especially if you're team drafting, is it's got big ground ball range here.
Yeah.
And you're getting a 6 closer, or it's not 6 closer, 6 reliever. So you can put this guy in the back of your bullpen, get a guy that's going to go out of the game early, you know, a 6 IP guy or a 5 IP guy, throw this guy in for a few innings, get a lot of ground balls if you're doing a heavy infield. That's pretty cool. Not bad card.
He was a starter in '97.
That's interesting.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. He only played one game in '97, but he started that game. In '96, he was a starter.
Oh, that's still very
Wow.
interesting. I did not know that.
Good for him.
Next up, we got Mr. Foil Nomar Garciaparra.
Heck yeah.
So a lot of people like this card because a lot of people like Nomar. I mean, he was a great hitter. Shitty ass fielding, but
Not a great card for 470.
yeah, for
I don't know.
470, what was that? Jason Kendall was 490.
Yeah.
Like that's who I
460.
No, he was 460.
That's why I want Jason Kendall. I want Speed A. I want Jason Kendall. This is not the card I want, though. I do love having this card because I love Nomar as a player. But
it's a great looking card
yeah,
too.
I just don't. This card is not 470 in my opinion. It's not worth it.
Dude,
a lot
I
of
don't
singles, not good speed, terrible fielding.
Angry face.
Yeah, like pouting face, like it's like grumpy cat face. No, I think that I don't remember this guy. I don't remember Nomar being in our leagues.
Yeah, I
No
I
one
think
drafts
our
him because
defense,
you don't want this the foil always gets talked about, but he's terrible fielding and he's not good value.
If you told me I had to spend 400 points on a shortstop, I'm taking Omar.
Oh yeah, exactly. Why wouldn't you?
Right.
Or I'm gonna grab A-Rod because I'd rather have the fucking monster chart.
Right. Just pick a side, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Like this is like trying to be the middle somehow, and it's just not working in any way.
But it's not
And I
even.
think-
He's if again, I think Jason Kendall's undervalued. So maybe 470 is correct for this card. Maybe he's worth 450. I don't know. I think Jason Kendall's worth 500 something points. I mean, he's incredible value.
He should be more.
Yeah,
right,
this
right.
card right here is not the card I'm picking if I want a 10 guy. I want A speed. I want either a plus fielding. For this card, the only thing you're getting here is the 10 with like the tiniest bit of pop. With Kendall, you're getting A speed 10 plus arm. You know, you're not getting the pop, but you're getting like 3 things picked out plus lower salary.
But I don't have Kendall's chart on me
I know
right
he's a
now.
20 home run.
Right, he's got the less home run, but I don't think his like chart in like if you kind of standardize
I think
it,
he's
is
a
that much.
16 single plus, isn't he? So you're
Yeah,
talking
like,
about
He
That's not
is
that
a
bad.
16 single plus, 18 and 19 double.
yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, that's crazy. Like,
Wait,
and what's
wait, 18. Wait. Oh, he's a 16, 17 single plus. Okay.
Yeah.
So random fact, I remember back in the day. I just brought this up just because I remember now when Nomar used to play. I'm pretty sure it was against Indians, and one of the announcers was like, "Crazy thing about Nomar, his dad's name is Ramon, which is Nomar backwards." So, yes,
is that a real thing?
His dad's name is Ramon, and there was the Indians podcast, or at least the announcer joke that his son was named his dad's name backwards. Now I don't know if that's true or not. Again, I don't know that, but it is really weird because I've never heard anybody else named Nomar in my life.
Dude, and then I feel like Nomar's son has to be Ramon, and then Ramon's son, like it just has to
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah,
It
it's
becomes
sort
a
of like Greek
circle.
thing, yeah.
Right, exactly.
So
I
again,
think
if you guys are
Nomar got
drafting,
a little-
probably pass on Nomar. But if you love Nomar, which I know some of the guys on Facebook love Nomar, I liked him. I liked him as a player, but this card does not do him justice. Did you do well that year, Matt?
Yeah, he had 42 doubles, 27 homers. Like he had a really good year.
What? I mean, I guess that's kind of reflective. of-
Yeah, I mean, that's not too bad. The 16, 17, 18, a 3 double range is pretty solid.
Yeah.
But it just feels like for either this card is overpriced or Kendall is super. I mean, maybe it's both. But I would not want this card versus Kendall.
Yeah, and I think this goes back to like the whole defensive thing, like where some people like will overlook defense. When you're looking at just the shortstops in this set, he's what, the third points wise, he's the third best shortstop.
Well, so is Jeter? Is it Jeter?
A-Rod's 550, and I think Jeter's 490.
And Jeter's also a 10, but A-Rod's an 8.
Yeah. So like he's still really well represented as like the third best shortstop. But I think when you look at shortstop +1 and you're spending all these points on them, that's where it gets rough.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's like if you don't care about defense, like you're getting one of the best hitting shortstops in the set, third best probably.
Yeah. I just like I said, I wouldn't want. If he was like 400 and something points, I'd be like, dude, steal. Like he's great. But like 470, and maybe it's just because we just saw Kendall a little bit ago in the last podcast, and I'm kind of like, why would I spend 470 on this? I'm not getting a ton of value here. maybe we're overthinking it, but I've never seen him drafted, and I think there's a reason.
I really think it's the defense because I think people, what I've seen in playing in your leagues and then mine is people love defense.
Well, and even if you don't love defense, you can't make up for this as easy. Like when you have a shortstop +1, you have to almost get a +5 shortstop. Like if not, you're going to be having a very below par defense.
Right.
And I guess depending on the league, in the 2000 set there are a lot of ground balls, so this would hurt. But in our newer leagues, there's not a lot of ground balls because there's a lot of fly balls hitting the 19 and 18 sets. So maybe a person like this would be valuable then, but in this set, I feel like he'd be hurting you.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to the Pirates again. Like if you take Mike Benjamin and then you take Robbie Alomar, it cancels out that your defense isn't like he's not a +5 second baseman.
Yeah.
If you're somebody that looks for balance, like, but if you take Nomar and your second baseman needs to at least be a +3, I like my defense to be like a 7.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be super high. Like a lot of my friends like to do like the +14. Like they have to have the best, or even a 10 would be pretty solid. But yeah, I think 7, just to have a good roll. I would think a 7 would be really nice because getting a 15. You're talking about 2000 set to get a 15 OB 15 guy. Now when you start talking about our sets, we have actual numbers. Then you got to worry about 16 speed, 17, 18, 19 speed guys. But if you're talking about a B speed's a 15. You're like, okay, the A speed guys I might not get, but the B speed guys I got them locked down. Like I'm pretty good with the 7, but you just can't hurt yourself too much if he's your shortstop and then you boot second base. It's hard to make up when third base only goes to 3 and first base only goes up to 1.
Right.
So that's the only complaint.
Right.
Let's move on to the next card. We got Mr. Butch Husky. Butch.
This was the original team I took over in the first season. I was
so besides Jeff taking over for this guy's league that he the guy's team he took over in that league was the Doug Brocail impersonator that he took over for on Twitter too randomly without knowing. But Butch Husky is like a name that people love to have for some reason, like in the leagues.
My team,
how can you not?
My team was the Butch Huskies.
Yeah,
to catch
so it was great.
Up, so.
Again, it's actually a pretty solid card for a 7 with a +2 fielding and a ton of power. It just sucks that he's a 7. Wish he was an 8 here. I mean, he's under 300 points. I feel like he's pretty valuable, but it's rough.
No, the +2 outfield makes the difference for me. If it wasn't +2 outfield, I wouldn't fuck with this card. But
he's only 3 out and only 1 at a ground ball. It's pretty solid.
Right, that's enough for me to take the risk. If he can get the advantage, like my God, like do some damage, man.
Yeah, and I've seen him do pretty well in leagues. If you got the lower in a deeper league, if you got the lower control pitchers, a 7 on base guy will hurt you, and this guy seems pretty valuable for a 7. In terms of a shallow league, I'd rather have an 8. But if you're just talking about a deep league where their controls go down, this guy's probably a pretty good price for under 300 points.
Yeah, I mean, God, 16 to 20.
And his fucking name is Butch Husky.
Right, you just got to pick them. Dude, I know we're going to get into our next player is going to reflect on this, but their outfield was kind of bonkers.
Yeah.
Defense,
well, I feel like if anybody we should reach out to besides Doug Brocail is like Butch Husky. We just need to find Butch Husky and be like, dude, let's get some cards signed.
I'm going to send
because he has a Rockies card too.
Right. I want to find out what fast food does Butch Husky like? And then I'm just gonna send him a ton of gift cards, send him a bunch of this card, and hopefully I get him signed and sent back to me. I don't know, wishful thinking.
Next up is one of my favorite cards to draft, and I think again you're talking about the bonkers outfield. I talk about this card in previous podcasts, and I'll probably talk about in other podcasts. I usually punt center fielder, and I grab an A speed 7 center fielder +3. And Darren Lewis. He's doesn't really hurt you, and he's super valuable. For 140, you're getting a +3, A speed. Don't think of us on base. He's probably batting last for you. You're saving value here, and you're putting it at the end of your lineup, and you're getting an A speed guy batting 9th that gives you plus fielding. That's all you're getting from this guy.
Right, but he is the perfect number 9 batter.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like he is. Like I can't think of a better. I mean, it's not. I mean, the best he can do is triple, but you're not expecting that ever. And the +3 center field, like on base 7, it feels like a steal for 140. Like, dude,
I think it's a for sure steal for 140.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, it's so funny in our leagues, like, and he has to, like, in terms of like players, like, always getting picked. Like, I feel like there's like a steady amount of those. He's no question in that group.
Always picked. Well, especially if we're talking about like, okay, there's not many people in the 00 set under 100 points. Again, in the newer sets that we've made, fan-made sets, there's players. And maybe in the 0001 sets there are, but you're talking about the just original 00 set, there's not many players under 100. So you're talking about a guy that's just barely over 100 points that's going to lock up two things for you: fielding and speed. And speed is very important when you got a guy batting ninth that can sneak on the base with a walk on a pitcher's chart or a single or whatever. Then coming back to the big part of your lineup, he's going to get a lot of runs scored for you, and he's going to help you get like a Brian Giles, a big Carl Everett or something. I don't know about you, Matt, but I think this is the kind of guy that I want.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. It's, for me, when I'm thinking I always took Griffey. So
I never took Griffey. I always took Lewis.
I'm such a huge Griffey fan, so it was like I always had him. And
is
so,
Griffey
like,
+2?
Yeah,
and he's 560
for some version of a lie. 590.
590. So for 590, you're getting a 9 on base, 16 home run +2 A speed. So I'm getting 2 less on base, no power. I'm not looking at anything on his chart. This guy's, but for a 9 batter, I mean, you pretty solid for a 9 batter.
Right. Oh yeah. For like that's how, like, in your league right now, mine's Gerard Dyson, who's a 7 speed A outfielder.
That's the kind of guy. I mean, to me, Darren Lewis is one of my favorite cards. I will always reference this card because I think he's super undervalued.
I just never had him because I always took Griffey.
Yeah.
This is like one of the cards that, like, I know we've talked about this in the past, and we each kind of individually have this experience with cards. But I would say, like, maybe it's that first draft set we got or something that, like, these cards we just played with all the time. Mm-hmm. Darren Lewis is in that for me. Like, this image, this card, it's like so branded into my mind. And it's like, when I think of like the 2000 set, like, he's truthfully one of the first cards I think of, like, even more than foils, honestly.
Yeah. Again, you were saying, I mean, he always gets drafted for our leagues, and I rightfully so. And I think he will continue to get drafted in anybody's sets that's doing 00 pennant runs.
No question. He's great. He's fantastic.
Next up, Derek Lowe. Again, another guy, because their pitching staff is just stupid in this set. Again, we haven't seen any batters yet. This is before Manny Ramirez people. This is before all the, Johnny Damons and everybody were there. They had the pitching. Derek Lowe, for 180, gets you that 6 control. So for 150 at Real Cormier, for 30 more points, you get the extra out, and it's worth it for Derek Lowe. He gets picked up every draft. He's John Stone. He's a monster.
This is so great. This card is just the best.
Yeah,
I've had the opportunity to have John Johnstone and Derek Lowe on my team, and I felt like a god. This
they
is
should be able to get you out of like any jam unless the opponent's just having great rolls of 17s and higher.
Yeah, if they got the rolls, they're gonna beat you, and that's the dice gods will always be the dice gods for Showdown. But if you're trying to play a technical game where you're gonna draft the best relievers, you always want to have a guy like this because you can get, especially in 0001 the 00 and 00 pennant. There's so much value in the relievers. They didn't jack the prices up, so if you're gonna get value here, you get it in the relievers. You can punt a little bit on the pitching, maybe get less IPs, and throw in your Derek Lowe's or Real Cormiers or John Johnstones and extend the game. You know what I mean? That's what you want.
I mean, just think like you're having a game, you're playing as the Red Sox, and you're just cruising along with Pedro, and something happens. It's like you still have Lowe and Cormier to fall back on.
Absolutely. And that's why I think when people are drafting these newer sets, and I do know I did this, I want a couple solid relievers that are going to extend the game, because in real baseball now, in 2019, this is we're podcasting now in 2020. Relievers or pitchers don't go more than 5-6 innings these days. There's not a lot of shutouts anymore. There's not a lot of complete games. You got to have a great bullpen. You got to extend the game. So back in the day, this was fantastic for that. So
right, we are spoiled with these relievers.
Oh my
honestly.
god!
Like, I mean, It's actually like I've honestly like we're like probably 10 teams into this. I've like every time I see like another just bonkers good reliever, I just kind of roll my eyes. I'm just like, dude, like get out of here. Show me the garbage relievers. Show me the ones that like I'll never like. I'm like reversing myself on this. But yeah, dude. I mean, they're fantastic. They're great. I love them all. But yeah, oh my, there were so many of them.
Yeah, this guy would be like a 200 something point player for us. I mean, this would be a crazy value.
Right.
Next up, the man of the hour. He is the most expensive card, Matt, right?
Yes.
So the most expensive card in the set, Pedro Martinez, 660 points. We talked about like loving having a 5 control 1 through 16 out. Well, you get the 5 control 1 through 17 out. Oh, and then you also get 7 innings.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean the double's the worst part of this, but this card, I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever played with this card. I haven't.
He's too expensive for me to draft.
And
he's usually gone.
I mean, you guys know my strategy, and I've said it out loud of like pretty much pitchers off the bat, like just get some unbelievably good pitchers. And it's tough because there's so many good pitchers. It's just like I just said, a minute ago, like there's so many good pitchers in the 2000 set that maybe you can make the argument to not get Pedro and use that money elsewhere. But I have to imagine he just shuts shit down unless you're just rolling bad.
He does. I mean, people have. This is the guy you want if you're going pitcher heavy, in my opinion, for OO. Which is funny to say that this card's super ridiculous, and his 0-1 card is even more ridiculous.
Yeah. Yep, it is. Oh my god.
I know, and I don't want to spend more than 600 points on a card, and then like this card's 660, and then like the 0-1 card's 700 fucking points. The 700 points one is probably my jam because there's no doubles, but this one's pretty fucking solid, and I know he gets a lot of play, and he does absolutely win you games.
Yeah, because even if you give up that double, like there's probably not going to be runners on base.
Yeah, what else is there? Just that one double.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's not just that he has a high out range, it's that he also has the high control, and so he gets everyone on his chart, and he's literally getting you out 85% of the time. Like,
and half of those are strikeouts.
Yeah. No one's moving around the bases. So if you draft this guy, you're probably winning. Let's say you're doing a standard 4 starting pitchers, but you could do a 5 starting pitcher league. You're going to win, every 4 games. Now that the debate is 660 worth every 4 games?
I mean, I think so.
And I agree.
I think you can pencil in a win 85% of the time.
I would say it's more than 85% of the time, especially. Well, the funny part is if you had this Boston team, is Boston doing well in your Showdown Cup?
They got eliminated.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking, like, in my head, like, their batting's not good, but Jesus. I mean, the fucking pitching. If you had Pedro, and then they were like, I'm going to take Pedro out in the 7th, you have to face Real Comier and Derek Lowe.
Yeah,
like,
I can't remember who beat them, but it was one of those freak things where just nothing went right.
Mm-hmm.
Like Pedro got rocked, like because it happened.
I mean, could you imagine this, Jeff? If I have Pedro and I pitched him 6 innings, let's say, just to be kind, and I'm like, oh, I'm taking Pedro out. You're like, yeah, fucking finally, and I'm like, oh, now you get to face Real Comier 6. And then I'm gonna close it out with Derek Lowe. You'd be like, fuck you,
dude. That's like, and it's so funny because like. No, that'd be just the worst and like the most.
Exactly.
Like, I'm just saying, like I know that like I think about the teams that I've played that have like the amazing starting pitcher, and then they just follow it up with these just unbelievable relievers. It is.
Yeah, you feel hopeless.
Do you feel hopeless? Do you feel like there's no? You just kind of are like, I'm just a body, just here, just like rolling a dice. Like I don't like. I'm just like I could just not be here. Like just roll for me. Like it is really just this helpless feeling, and that's like I guess part of that is like. I've stolen that strategy in a sense and, want to just... Well,
here's the craziest thing, right? So this guy's so dominant, and you've noticed how dominant pitching can be.
Yep.
The game was played with strategy cards that made the pitchers or batters even more dominant. So imagine if you had a strategy deck that was focused on helping a Pedro Martinez, and you just fucking annihilated people. This card was stupid back then. I mean, he's stupid now in our leagues, though I have seen people get lucky with some big rolls.
Yeah.
I mean... The crazy thing, like I said, is that 0-1 card, and I know was it Kyle that had that challenge and I fucking
Yeah.
almost got completely shut out. I barely even get a hit off Pedro 0-1.
Yep.
But the 0 card is pretty nuts too, and we're
It's
talking
like-
about those right now. I love also this picture. He looks fucking absolutely awesome in this like old school jersey look thing.
Yeah, this must have been spring training too, because this jersey doesn't show up often.
Well, and it looks like it's like a double sleeve. Like it's got like 2 sleeves.
Might just be him, but
Yeah, maybe I don't know. It's very strange. Like, but either way,
Yeah.
Pedro was awesome. Pedro was so fucking dominant during this season, so it was cool.
Heck yeah, man.
So next up, Trot Nixon, another cool name for a player. 260 for an 8. Not bad.
A decent chart. I would say
Yeah.
a slightly above average chart.
Yeah, not too bad. Nothing to really to go home, rave home about, but not gonna hurt you here. And decent fielding, a little bit outrange, a little tough, but 16 double somehow randomly gets that triple in there.
Right.
Not bad. Next up, Jose Offerman. I mean,
This is interesting. This is an interesting card.
it feels like it's a little pricey at first glance because you're only getting +2 from the second base, but you're getting a 9 here. That single plus is at 16. I just, I don't know.
Up
What
the
do you guys
middle
think?
defense was rough for the Red Sox.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
so you had Nomar at +1 and +2 second base.
Wasn't there third base +0?
It was Valentin.
We haven't got to him yet.
He was +2.
That's pretty. I mean, I guess 5.
So you got 5, but you could get that with one position player.
Right. That's true. I live in the 7 to 8 range now, so 5, but that's still pretty bad. Like you have to purposefully not be avoiding defense and end up with 5.
And Pedro just strikes everyone out, so they don't even need the
Yeah,
game.
what does it matter?
That's only one game.
right.
We'll get to the other guys too. Don't worry.
No, yeah, I get that. Well, yeah, but I mean, in general, I mean, he's probably pretty solid. What did he do that year, Matt? Because a 9 on base is pretty solid in in 00.
Yeah, he had to have above a 380
Yeah.
on base. I'm pulling it up right now, but while it's loading, I just like guys that bring you. Their chart has everything. Like no matter what you roll, you're guaranteed to get something.
Oh yeah.
Like there's single plus triple, but he had a full season, almost 700 plate appearances, with 37 doubles, 11 triples, only 8 homers. He still got a homer on his chart,
Yeah.
and a 391 on base percent.
Excellent. So he had a great year, and this card's pretty solid. I just feel like 320 might be a little pricey, but again, that's just first glance. If I was running the numbers, maybe it'd be a little different. Could be the whiskey talking. I don't know.
And like way off topic, his daughter's a ring announcer for WWE right now.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I love WWE, so I always watch their snaps.
JoJo, her name's JoJo.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
So you there's your random fact.
yeah, random fact of the
I
day.
like it. Check the box.
Check. Next up, Troy O'Leary.
So this is I was talking in the last podcast how I just randomly have a couple autograph cards.
This is him?
This is my other one.
Oh,
yeah.
man. Jeez, Troy
dude,
O'Leary, wow.
I got it for $2. It was like this. It was Andy Ashby and Troy O'Leary, and I feel like that worked out. Like I had the
Love
option. I think I had the option to get Wade Boggs for $5, and Wade Boggs rocks. And if you've seen his Showdown card in this series, it also rocks. And I should have, but I didn't. He's a legend though. But anyway, Troy O'Leary. Yeah, I've got his signed card somewhere behind me.
Yeah, so this card kind of stinks in my opinion. Like, would I rather have Troy or not Troy, Jose Offerman? Yes, for a 9 for 320 versus this 270 with slow speed.
Or Trot.
I just can't. Not hate. If I'm gonna get a C-speed guy, he better be fucking killing the ball. Again, 15 doubles not bad. 17 triple. For some reason, he get triples at C-speed. He's getting them, and he's at 18 home run range. But I don't like it. But am I just looking at this? It's like the Red Sox seem very 8 on base prone here. Like they have a lot of middle of the road guys.
Right.
They have Nomar at 10. That one guy at 6 at the beginning.
Yeah, and it's so like I definitely have gotten more used to the way that you guys now do the speed with, it's not just 10, 15.
Yeah, because this guy's a 10.
Like, like that's the thing is the difference between a 10 and a 15 is huge. And like, there's honestly not that many players in our current sets that are like 8, 9, and 10. They exist.
Yeah.
I mean, but like if this were a speed C, 13 or 14, maybe more manageable, right?
yeah.
Like, but just that 10 is just the worst, just the absolute worst. And like, that's one of the card designs that I'm glad that you guys picked up, and
yeah, because you really just get like out almost all the time. Like if you were playing like the Mets versus the Red Sox, this guy can't even get fucking a chance at getting ground ball out. I mean, it's
right.
ridiculous.
Even with ground ball out, and even with our our rules,
especially him having a 2-3 ground ball rate on his own chart, then that hurts him.
Right.
So next up, Mark, Portugal. Interesting here. Pretty rough.
Everything you don't want. For
Yeah.
a plus
So he's
5.
only 120. I'm really upset looking. It looks like he's got a giant cup on in this picture.
Oh heck yeah!
It's not a cup.
Yeah, look good for him.
Yeah, it's not a cup. That's fantastic.
Dude,
but fuck, there's a lot of shit happening on his chart. He's getting hurt like a ton of times, including a home run.
Could you imagine pitching him with your +5 infield and like on top of like he has a huge ground ball range and he'll give up a homer?
Well, I was thinking like imagine playing the series. Like, yeah, I got Pedro rolling out 1, but don't worry, game 3 or 4 you got Mark Portugal coming out.
Honestly, he's like your 5th starter if you're using the Red Sox.
It's with the pennant run, you mean?
Right, with the pennant.
Right.
If not, though, you had this guy. Like you're fucked.
He's your third starter.
Yeah, you're shit out of luck.
Funny, I was talking about how we wanted bad pitchers, and I got what I asked for.
This is rough.
This is bad.
Really rough.
This is really bad. I just can't even. It's like tough to look at.
Like I and I like IP5 guys when you can throw in great relievers, but I do not want a home run on my chart. And especially,
I don't think you're getting to the 5th inning with this guy.
You're getting killed. Like there's no walks. Yeah. You're getting singles, doubles. People are just wrecking your chart with this guy. So you don't want this guy. Next up, Pat Rapp. He gets drafted a lot. So this guy is a great chart in my opinion. He's again the 5-inning guy. So as we talked about earlier, where you can maybe slide in Real Cormier, you can slide in Derek Lowe after this for only 370, no doubles, standard 4 1-5 out guy. Not bad.
Not bad.
So the 4 1-15 out guy is a 330, 340 point player. He gets a downgrade here because it's IP5, but then he gets upgraded again because no doubles. This is the kind of guy I like. There's a lot of singles, but I've drafted this guy. He does really well.
Yeah, this card's great. I've never played with this one, but like this kind of fits within the strategy of what I usually try to grab, and he would be an awesome 4th starter for what I
wanted to go back. Did Portugal lit up a lot of home runs, Matt?
I'm assuming he did.
Okay. I know you guys are gonna do some hopping here.
All right, yeah, we'll be back on 1 second.
Yep.
All right, talk, Bob.
I will talk. So Pat Rapp again. I've played in this league where we do no doubles leagues, and he always gets drafted. Great card. Again, you're talking about a 330 point player at a 4 control, 1-15 out. With the IP5, he goes down, probably to 2 something, 290 maybe. And then a jump up again for no doubles. I feel like he's back to about 340, 350. And so for 370, you're talking about a good steal, in my opinion. And he does get picked up a lot, but you have to have the bullpen. You have to have the Real Cormers. You have to have the Derek Lowe's, the John Johnsons. If you do not, this guy will hurt you going forward because of that. You have to be ready to be able to back it up with a bullpen. So if you don't back it up with a bullpen, he's going to hurt you.
There we go.
Yeah.
And we're back.
And you're back. I was just saying how you have to have a good bullpen with Pat Rapp.
Yeah, you have to. Like there's not, it's actually kind of rare. Like I'm so used to IP5s now in our 2019 set.
Yeah.
But it's unusual to see that many to see any IP5s in the 2000 set. So to have Portugal and Rapp kind of back to back when we're looking at them is kind of interesting. But
did you get a chance to look up Portugal, Matt?
Yeah, I have it. He had a 1.7 home run.
Okay, so he definitely earned that range.
And to what you were saying, Jeff, they also have two IP relievers.
Who?
The Red Sox. They have two IP relievers.
Oh
to
yeah,
combat.
one of them the pennant run though?
Yeah, one's pennant run, one's regular.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you're wow. Yeah, you're
Is
totally
one Tim
right.
Wakefield or is that a starter?
It is
Yeah, it's Tim.
Oh,
Wakefield.
okay. Because he used to be a starter.
How do you chart the knuckleball?
That's right.
I'm sure it showed up on a strategy card that none of us use.
Next up, we have Mike Stanley. So now you got a 9 on base guy. So we had Jose Offerman at 320. Would you take Jose Offerman at 320 plus 2 second base, or Mike Stanley at a 9? C speed plus 0 first base.
I think there's better first basemen to be had.
I agree.
And I would take Offerman.
I would take Offerman now looking at this card. And at first, I love 9 on bases that are under 300, but the C speed and no fielding, it just feels like I'm really getting shafted here. So, not a big Stanley fan.
Yeah, no, he's fine. I mean, he's fine if you picked him up for a draft or a blind draft or something, but
Yeah.
nobody's going after this guy.
Next up is John Valentine, and this is their third baseman that picks up a little bit extra in the infield. Interesting chart here, nothing crazy, but I hate the 6 C speed. It just feels really rough. But for 140, it's not too bad. But I mean, for 140, I could get Lewis.
Right, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean,
why would I want him?
right, this guy doesn't really do anything in that last spot where Darren Lewis is doing everything in that last spot and providing some of the best center field defense in the game.
Exactly, and that's kind of my point. It's like, would you rather Derek Lewis or this guy? It's like, why would you not want to have this guy or sorry, Derek Lewis? So a little rough here, but Jason Varitek, I feel like he falls in that really rough category right in the middle where he's like too expensive for people that are punting and too cheap for people that are playing strong catchers.
Right.
At that point, I'm taking Diaz if I'm taking a 7 on base catcher.
Exactly. You're getting a C-speed guy here with a below average arm. I mean, he's decent double. I mean, how many doubles does he have? Because he's a crazy double range here.
He probably only had like 40 at bats that year.
So he's got
Let's
4
see.
double range here. That's a lot.
Yeah,
It's
five doubles.
He had 5 doubles.
Yeah, no, he had like his double range is 5.
Oh, 5.
But he had 39 doubles and 544 plate appearances.
So
he's hitting a lot of doubles.
Yeah, that's not a 5 double range. I mean, you're talking about like Albert Bell type double range.
Right, but I mean, he's also a 7, not a 10.
Yeah, I know, I get that, but I just feel like it's kind of too much there. But that could be the best part if you actually had this catcher somehow, is that you're getting a huge double range, which is a lot of times what hurts you is you get a lot of singles out of a player and you're like, I can't advance my runners. This guy will move the bases. I hate that he's C-speed and undervalued arm. But for 230, I guess if you're in a super deep league and everyone low is gone and everyone high is gone, I guess you get this guy, but I don't want him. I don't want him at all.
So one thing I'm looking up right now, and I'm seeing if I can do it quickly, is looking at our draft that we did, our mini season that was 2000 and 2001, and it looks like we had 8 teams.
Okay.
And I was looking to see like who was picked essentially from these.
Ivan, Kendall.
Yeah, like I mean, it's arm. I mean, we're talking, it's Kendall from the Pirates, who we just went through. Tom Lampkin from the Mariners, Pudge, Henry Blanco, Brad Ausmus, that's 01, Charles Johnson's 2000. The worst one, and this was actually one of their, like, I think towards the bottom, one of their last picks was the 01 Jason Kendall card, but he's a catcher +4. But he's, still fast.
He's still a 10.
He's an on-base 10, right? He has a slightly worse chart than the so I mean that's where you're getting the saving of the 460 to 420. But I was curious more about the arm to see, like, did anybody even in that 5, 6, 7 arm range get picked? And I would say no. That Kendall pick was picked just purely for the on-base 10 and not for that that arm.
Yeah. Next up, we have Tim Wakefield, the reliever we were just talking about. So this guy gets you the IP2, which is why his points get boosted up. He's been drafted, but I don't like this kind of card. I don't want a 4 control for 1 through 15 out, for 2 innings when I could have real Kumer for he can be a 6 and then a 5 for less points. Like I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't
like
get it.
you can have Derek Lowe for 180, who's a 6 and a 5, and then a 4 for 3 innings, all at 1 through 16 out.
And still be a higher tier.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. I get that you get the extra IP, which does give him a boost, so he doesn't get affected here from runs scored and stuff like that. But it I don't think it benefits a lot of the IP or the points. So.
Yeah, the one thing that I like, and this was a while ago, like when I was younger, and me and my friends did our full season with the 2000, 2001 cards. We made full rosters, and our rule was your reliever can only pitch their IP.
Oh.
And I think that's where it kind of gets lost in translation, because like you said, if you take a 6 that has out through 16, you can run him to a 3, and he's still like a 110-point reliever at that point for 3 out through 16, and that's 4 innings of work. So like we did it where like they could only pitch their IP, and that makes like a guy like Keith Folk and Wakefield a little more valuable.
Yeah, and I'll give a shout out here to Clutch Baseball, which does a lot. They do their own baseball cards, no pictures, but a really good job with printing basically an 02 to 05 version of Showdown. If you guys want to check out Clutch Baseball, do that. If you like 0001 statistics where it only goes up to 10 or 11 on base, probably Clutch is not your style. They also use strategy cards. But what I will say is they do something like that. And so they are the reason that I like the mistake pitch. They have something called this, like, X chart, mistake chart, that if the batter rolls on the mistake chart, then they get to use a 24-sided dice. I love that ability that they can make this, oh my god, they rolled a 1 and it's fucking chaos. So what they do though is when you've passed your IP limit, or quote unquote become tired because you've let up too many runs, then your IP limit goes down, then the opponent, no matter what, gets to roll with the mistake die. So basically, if Tim Wakefield's pitching for 2 IP, and then he goes into his 3rd inning, then the other team gets to roll with the 24-sided dice. He still gets he goes down a control to a control 3, but now they're always using the mistake pitch dice, the 24-sided dice. So if you're using Derek Lowe, who's a 6 control, if you go to the next inning where he's a 5 control, they're using the IP, the 24-sided dice every time. That makes things a lot more interesting when you're talking about now control versus IP.
Yeah, it does.
So they do that really good job with that, I think. And I've always wanted to do something like that. It's just hard to control. And I feel like those 24-sided dice get out of hand. So it's like I want something in the middle. I wish it was like a 22-sided. Like I want a little bit of advantage, but the 24 is a huge jump. Like 4 more points on a roll is a big difference if you're giving to them every time. But that also then says, guess what? You better limit your relievers. You better get right. You better do a really strategic game. And you're talking about now a game where we don't have strategy cards. It's very strategic to go, okay, let me really think about this. Can I put this guy in for 2 innings? Is he going to hurt me? I don't know.
Yeah. And that's like where we had fun, because like we combined the 2 sets and you had a 25-man roster. So you had like 6 or 7 bullpen guys. But I love the idea of adding more strategy to playing without strategy cards.
Yeah. So that's where we got to figure out, is there a middle ground? But that's how Clutch did it. I really liked it. I know you do something where if a guy pitches 2 games or if he over pitches innings, he can't pitch the next game, which I think is a really good strategy too. Because if you're pitching a series and you go, well, I know Derek Lowe can pitch fucking 4 innings here.
Right.
But then he can't pitch fucking next game. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal.
And the way that because I've always looked at it just like when I'm watching baseball. If a team throws their reliever out for 2 innings, he's probably not pitching the next game.
Yeah, he's worn out.
There and he goes 3 or 4, he's not pitching the rest of the series.
Yep.
Right.
Because like they play every day. So
yeah, that's something I need to incorporate into mine.
Because I think that makes it having a depth at bullpen a little more valuable. Because like I never thought of it when drafting in your league. Like you've noticed, I loaded up my bullpen 2 years in a row.
Yeah, why not?
But without your rules, I probably could have just taken 3 of them and like 2 10-point relievers, and I'd never use them anyways.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of what, and that's why like me going, and I've said this before, like me going from what I know in Bob's league, with the slightly lax kind of reliever rules, then going to your league and realizing, holy shit, I definitely did not get enough good relievers. Like it's definitely it's definitely kind of a jolt both ways.
Well, it definitely
Yeah.
makes if you can find a pitcher that does like an IP 6 or 7 so much more valuable.
Right.
So it's something to think about depending on people's leagues. But let's keep going here. We got Manny Alexander. We got a pennant runs now.
I love
And-
utility guys.
Yeah, super utility guy.
Great.
He can play shortstop better than Nomar.
Second
No
base
homers
better
here.
than-
Pretty rough, but for only 180, not too bad for a 7.
Yeah, I just like the guys that, what I'm realizing, Darren Lewis is kind of the same thing. Like these guys that just can't hit home runs, like I just think in their metrics or their calculations, like that took so many points off of each of these players. And like
yeah.
I'm not suggesting you have to have only you shouldn't have a lot of home runs, because I've ran a team that has like very little home runs high on base and it doesn't work. But I'm saying that like these guys, like sparingly used or put in the right spots, or can be highly effective as
Yeah,
part
not
of your lineup.
so the whole team, but like a couple here and there.
Right, especially this guy. This is great. I mean,
Yeah, he's pretty solid. I don't like the 1 through 5 out range, but the rest of the chart's fine for a solid 7.
right, and he's great. Like I like Matt was saying with utility, like having him be like a starter, but then having some bench guy that is a speed A that can come in and basically you can flip Manny to any of the other positions, to kind of cover.
I've always wanted to play like
Great.
an NL league where you the pitcher bats, and then you also have like injuries where you could really go fucking deep with the bench. And it's like, okay, this kind of guy is like super good to have in your bench. He can slide into 3 different positions and not hurt you. Solid.
Right.
He's a good pinch hitter in a bench league. Next up is the monster,
Oh,
Carl
boy.
Everett.
This is like, I feel like this is one of the most polarizing cards, I feel like, in these sets.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys agree
He
with
looks like
that.
he's absolutely fucking crushing the ball. He's about to. He's at 10, A speed, OF +2. So he checks off 3 things right there. Pretty big home run range. I wish he was a 17, but he'd probably even more points, because we just talked about like Brian Giles being 6'10 for a 10.
And I just pulled Giles' card out by the way, for comparison.
Yeah. I'd rather have this guy. He gets the extra OF. He's the A speed. He's only, 40 more points? He has more outs, right?
1 to 5 out is
He's
really
1 to
bad.
5 out.
That's
Giles
what's rough.
only has 4.
I mean,
I guess
either
it's
way,
only one.
anything
I'm
over
taking Brian
3,
Giles
anything
every
over
time.
3 is rough. I mean, you're talking about when you get the advantage, which you will with a 10 on base guy. That 5 out thing is rough, but he's gonna fucking kill it. And when he gets on base, he's a maniac on the bases because he's an A speed, and he doesn't hurt you, and he can play center field, left field, or right field for you.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, go
I just
ahead,
don't
Matt,
want
sorry.
650 is too
I just
expensive
I have
for
a
me.
couple of things because this card's always annoyed me.
Yeah,
And it's 1 because he's the highest point batter now. And
Yep.
I'm like, I'm like, Carl Everett was never that good.
exactly.
And
Right.
but then on top of that, El Presidente and his calculator figured out mathematically that a 10 on base with 5 outs versus the average pitcher is a lower on base percent than a 9 with 3 outs.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And I didn't know this until yesterday.
So
But-
what's Griffey's outs?
I think he's a 9 out through 5.
Oh, he's out through 5. I was
I
gonna
think
say.
it might be 4, but like either way, like I don't know. I just don't like this card because
Well, especially because he's like we said, so we have the most expensive pitcher, 660. Now we have the most expensive batter, 650. But this chart doesn't really.
it
I don't
doesn't
think resemble
reflect it to me.
650.
Yeah, like if he
Dude.
was 650, I would assume he's out through like 3.
Yep.
Right. I
And
totally agree with that.
either have another double or another home run.
Absolutely.
And
If he's
then
gonna
I'm
have
like,
out through
okay.
5, he better have another double or home run.
If
I
he
mean,
was if he was center field +3, like kind of like the Darren Lewis card, and left field, right field +2, then I would consider this card for 650. But
Yeah,
other than
because-
that, absolutely not. Like
'Cause
there's
this
just
is his chart for his 9 on base.
just not
with the
enough.
Astros. It's just a 10 on base now.
Yeah.
Right. They must have been selling a ton of these cards in Boston, because then they said we're giving Pedro and Carl Everett the
I mean,
top
the
rated
card
cards.
is cool just to
Yeah,
have,
he's-
but
Like the
I had not seen anybody draft this card. He's too
No.
expensive to roster.
He never gets picked in ours.
I would
Next
take the
up
other
is
one on the team.
another reason why their pitching staff is so damn good. Ramon Martinez,
Oh my god.
Pedro's brother.
Yeah.
So we got a 6-1 through 6 out, or sorry, a 6 IP 1 through 15 out. So this is like Eric Milton, but for cheaper.
You survived Pedro, and
Yep.
now you got to face Ramon, and the bullpen's still there because they probably didn't pitch the last game.
Right, a 570. Like, oh yeah, this is great. This is like, I feel like this pitching lineup is like, or this like rotation is like what I usually do with my drafts.
Yeah. It's also insane that like the brothers got foils and
Yeah.
they're both like fucking studs.
Right. Right.
Was Ramon a stud? Do we?
I don't know if he always was. I thought he was decent for the Dodgers. But I mean, Pedro was like ridiculously a stud in real life.
Right,
I don't know if
Pedro,
Ramon was never on the level of Pedro, but
Yeah, in '99 he pitched 4 games,
oh, lovely.
but he did pitch 15 in '98. So I'm assuming it's probably a little duplicate of
Yeah.
each.
Okay.
But at '98 he had a 2.83 ERA and a 1.1 WHIP, so he wasn't bad in '98.
Is that for the Dodgers?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it makes sense how he got the card, ish.
It just seems like they isn't Eric Milton a 6-1 through 15 out for 6'10"?
I thought
Or
it
is
was
he-
like 530.
Oh, he's 530. You're right. So now you're talking about a guy. Okay, it's 530. Right, absolutely. So it's like, would you rather have Eric Milton for
No.
530?
I'm just gonna roll with all guys named Martinez.
Right. It's a safe bet, right?
Absolutely. So again, I think it's cool that they both have the foil here, but it just seems a little pricey. Especially now, this is what the pennant run is what really jacks up the Red Sox's
Yeah.
value because you got 650 and 570. But
Yeah, they have a lot of pennant run guys.
and then a
And then-
misprint.
Yeah.
Next
Who
up is
shoots like
misprint
530.
Brett Saberhagen. So you got 5 control for whatever reason. 6 IP seems pretty solid. Then 1 through 16 out. I what happened? Like for only 430. So
what
what's
I
up?
figured out, like this is all the discussions over time. He's either supposed to be a 4 control or he's supposed to be 530.
Yeah,
It's one or the
I've always heard 530, but I could see both. Like he's either supposed to be 430 or sorry, a 4 control. Everything I've heard is he's 530.
I think I'm looking at his stats right now, and he should be 530.
Yeah.
Because like he had a sub 3 ERA and a 1.1 WHIP. Like
Yeah.
he was a beast.
Yeah. So
Dude.
the card itself should be 530 points, a 5 control. Again, this now we're talking about the Red Sox starting pitching staff should be ridiculous for this OO to OP. And then you got Real Comer and Derek Lowe to follow. But you're talking about 1 through 16 out of 5. This is a great card. This is the kind of guy I want. I would draft this guy at 530, probably over Martinez at 660, even though he's got the extra out, because I'm saving 130 points.
Yeah.
Let alone he's worth only 430. That's why he gets drafted every league, unless you have some kind of auto correction. I've done this before where I have reprinted some cards and put them into the sleeve because like Glenn Allen Hill and other people from the Devil Rays should not be their value.
Guzman.
Hey.
Juan Guzman.
99 remastered guys.
Yeah.
You know.
So Brett
He's gotta be-
Saberhagen should be 530, in my opinion, and therefore he probably wouldn't get drafted as much, but he's still probably pretty valuable at 530. But 430, he's like one of the best fucking cards in the set.
Right. And I'm all about like whenever misprints happen, you just have to go with it, and that's what the card is. And but I feel like if and when you guys do a 99 remastered set, I feel like he has to be 530 points no matter what you do. Like you have to like misprint him the other way.
And
you know?
Juan Guzman has to be 440 no matter
Yeah,
Right,
no matter
right,
what.
Right. Just say fuck it and like double, and just do it. Like, we can set whatever rules we want.
I love it. Next up, we have the last card, John Wasden.
Wasden probably. Yeah, this is a ridiculous.
So I've never played with this card. I don't think anybody has. I don't see how
Why?
you
like
could
why?
spend 240 on a guy that gives a home run. That's a reliever.
And Tim Wakefield, like I get the
220.
So yeah, Tim Wakefield 220, control 4, doesn't give up the home run. I think he walks at 16. But my God, you're spending more for
What?
for
Nothing.
what? For extra control, one extra control. But my
He's
God,
two tiers higher though.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah.
that's dude. But that's the thing is the tiers.
The home runs is what's literally
Right.
fucking killing you.
Exactly. The tier's not taking into account like that. If it's on this guy's chart, if I'm on Weston's chart, he's probably giving up doubles and home runs here and there.
I mean, it's literally just onslaught. We were just talking about what's his face, Portugal. It's like 17,
Yeah.
18, 19, 20, just literally just killing you.
So when Portugal,
Portugal.
Pitches, this guy pitches, and you just punt that game.
Yeah.
Right, that's your fourth game.
Yeah.
I can't win. You hope that Portugal can do okay for the first couple innings, but once you hit that point, you just let it bleed.
Your lineup's just Portugal and then Wasden and then Beck to finish it out. And you're like, all right,
Dude.
the Red Sox will win 4 out of 5. I
Yeah.
The
guess.
ultimate
Yeah.
DGAF.
You
game,
you win like 2-0, you won 2-0, 2-0, 3-0, then you lost like 15-1. It's like, yeah, I pitched Portugal, Watson, Beck. What do you want me to do? I can't score any runs. That, everyone, is the Red Sox, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, really interesting team. Some cards a little interesting, but overall some pretty crazy cards, and I hope everyone did like it. And if you guys did not or wanted to judge some of our opinions, obviously subscribe and comment below or comment on Twitter or anything else. This again was brought to you by a request from someone on YouTube. If anyone else has other requests, please let us know and we'll get to those teams next. Any closing words?
Yeah, I officially believe that Darren Lewis should have gotten the foil instead of Carl Everett. That's my take.
Yeah, I don't know why they got the foiled Carl Everett, but Darren Lewis is, in my opinion, one of the most valuable cards in the whole entire set. I always draft him.
Totally agree.
Thank you guys for listening, and stay tuned for next time.